Hey guys, just getting this bad boy started. You already know me. A little post in. Lady, I just wanna. Make sure that lighting is hitting right. Notes all the way in. Oh man, I am excited. I'm excited. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in, guys. Overly up, ready, and excited. You already know for another day. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Come on in. Come on in. So, today doing a special live tonight with that Free Money Meister. We're talking about scholarships, grants, things that high school kids can use to utilize to make sure that their finances taken care of when it comes to college. Man, and don't forget we're doing that special giveaway, so we want you guys to make sure you guys can tune in. But just before I get Miss Kiara Jones, I'll introduce her shortly. Just before I get in, a little bit about my track record when it came to college. I actually went to Louisiana State University. Whoop, whoop, go Tigers. And I couldn't imagine going to college without actually I had a football scholarship. I can imagine that if the things weren't like they were, I probably wouldn't have been there. So I know a lot of people are in that situation, so we're going to make sure we change that. Make sure you guys listen in, focus in, get your pens, papers, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, drop them in the box. Let's get Miss Kiara Jones on.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Let me make sure the ankle is good.
I know you see me trying to adjust as well. Give me Man, I'm so excited that you are here. Hold on, let me fix this little ring light. And I'm so excited that you are here. And you already see that the amount of comments and amount of shares that we've been getting from this message, how important it is and how important what you do is. So, Ms. Kara, just tell us a little bit about you, about the organization. Talk to us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kiara Jones. And so my story is interesting. My slogan is 5 years, 2 degrees, $0 in student loan debt, all paid for through scholarships, fellowships, grants, and a $30,000 student loan paydown. And what most people don't know is sometimes when you get like a student loan paydown, there are tax implications. And so to avoid some of the tax implication, I purchased a home. I'm in my office right now. And then I also started my company, Free Money Meister, where myself and other experts are instructors, and we have consultants who do workshops, and we do consultations. And so that's how we're here tonight, because we have a workshop coming up in regards to college readiness scholarship workshop. And so we just want to make sure that everyone is aware, and we want to award someone a free ticket tonight.
Of course, of course. Okay. So let's get into it. So now explain to us the difference between the grants, the scholarships, things like that. You said you used yours to make a purchase of a home, but man, you got to tell us a little bit more about that. Come on.
So with that, okay, I won the $30,000 student loan pay down, and I used it to pay my loans. But if you get money like that, you are taxed on it unless the person who gives it to you handles the taxes. But in my case, they did not. They already gave me $30,000, so I couldn't complain about it. But I was going to get taxed around like $17,000. And I was like, okay, I want the money, but I don't want the problems from getting the money. So I talked to my accountant, and she was like, all right, well, you can get a home, and that'll assist with your taxes. And then also you can start a company, and through the expenses, then you'll be able to minimize your taxes that way. So that is how the company that I had been wanting to start was birthed anyway, through winning the money.
Well, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. Now, what are the main differences between let's say a grant versus a scholarship? Is there like where you get them from? Is there what's the real difference between them?
So we refer to all of that as free money because you don't have to pay it back. And so that's scholarships, grants, fellowship, and student loan pay down. So let me discuss the difference between them. Scholarships,
Okay.
you'll see them in a variety of types. It could be a financial scholarship from an institution. It could be a merit scholarship. It could be many types. There's scholarships for being tall out there. It's just a lot of free money. The difference mainly between a scholarship and a grant. again, that's money you do not have to pay back, but typically you'll see a grant in regards to financial aid. And so you could think of like the Pell Grant, and that's money that you'll receive from the federal government, but you don't have to pay them back. Fellowships, they're a little bit more related to, they could be related to your major or the field that you're going in. Typically, there's maybe like some service involved, or it's aligned to your major. So that's where the difference is with fellowships. It's still free money, but it normally has some criteria around it. And then student loan paydowns, which we're seeing more and more of, they can be ad hoc. Like Scholly does a lot of student loan paydown competitions. You'll see them say like, hey, we're giving out $50,000, $10,000. It could be nonprofits like that big check that I have in the background right there. They gave out $30,000, or the federal government, which at the moment doesn't have the best success rate for it, but they do have student loan forgiveness programs based on your career path. If you went to school and something happened, they have the Borrower's Defense Against Repayment program. So there's lots of different methods to get some of the free money out here.
Okay, awesome. So why is it important for high school kids to utilize these programs that you guys find for them? Why is it so important?
Two reasons. So the first one is the student loan debt crisis here in the United States. So essentially, it's the second highest consumer debt behind mortgage debt, okay? And what that means is approximately every person who goes to school comes out with about $30,000. That number can change up or down, worth of debt. And we recently came out with a blog post saying that has more implications and impacts than what many millennials, because that's the age group that is really affecting right now, realize. Mm-hmm. And that affects your debt to income ratio. So things like when you go to purchase a home, if they see that you have a large amount of student loan debt, they may think that you are unlikely to be able to handle that purchase. It has financial stress. There are many implications of having this large amount of debt, and people don't realize it because it's so easy to get the student loan, but they don't tell you the problems that happen once you already have it. And so it's really important to focus on scholarships when you're in high school and while you are in college to minimize the amount of debt that you have. The second thing is, if you're a minority, especially African American in the United States, there's a wealth diversity gap. And it's been predicted that by the year 2053, that the average net worth of a Black American would be $0. And so what that means is if you go to school and you have this $30,000 worth of student loan debt, you're already setting yourself behind the curve. And so the curve isn't really in your favor anyway. So you want to make sure you are attacking these items that are already a big problem for many Americans.
You definitely dropped knowledge on that. You taught me something I didn't even know about. So that's phenomenal.
Sorry, I think I lost you for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you good. So with all these different programs and grants, because they sound good. It sounds like you just got to go out, apply them, and they're good. What are the cons? Are there any cons behind it?
There are cons. So there are programs out here that are scamming people. Some things to look out for. If you win a scholarship and they ask you for your credit card, or they ask you for information, more than likely it's a scam. Also, if you apply for a scholarship and they just request any information other than what the scholarship's stating, like if they ask for personal information about you, more than likely that's a scam as well. So just make sure you're going to reputable sites. Some other things that you have to look out for are the terms and conditions of a scholarship. So if you accept a scholarship and they say it's for your books or for your tuition, then you want to use it for exactly what it's for when you get that scholarship money in. Another thing, and I wrote down some more, is a con. It's not truly a con to me, but some people think it takes too much time and energy to understand the scholarship and student loan process. And I tell people the average 9 to 5 minimum wage job right now is $11 an hour. If you take about 2 to 3 hours, the rate of return that you could get is so enormous compared to the amount of time you're spending. So it's truly worth it. But other than that, minus the taxes and the scams and time and energy, it really has more reward than it has any sort of negative benefit.
Now, you touched on using the money for what you specifically need it for.
Yes.
how are they giving these checks out? Is it like a specific check, or like you just hand these kids a check, or how does it work?
That's a good question. So the process is different depending on the organization, but I'll just give you one that we provide in our workshops as an example. So if you're the winner, sometimes you'll get the congratulations email, you are the winner, and they will ask you for your student account information. And what that means is they'll reach out to the school. They may ask if you have a balance, and then they will send over the check to the school. Where this works out well for some students is if you've already gotten a whole bunch of partial checks coming into play, then you can get a refund check. In the state of Maryland, they passed legislation that said that the school is not allowed to take back some of the scholarships that the school gave you if you get external scholarships. Some places, though, if you get an external scholarship and the school gave you money, the school will then take that money back.
So it just all depends on where it's coming from. Man,
exactly. Also, you have to be careful. So if you get a scholarship and it's supposed to be for your fees at school, and then you end up getting a refund check, you may have to pay taxes on that money because it was not used for your degree and it was not used for the fees of the university.
Wow. And make sure y'all put an extra star behind that, because that's key information. You don't want to be like, I got this check, it's not going to be used. All of a sudden your taxes come out. That is some great information right there. So when is the best time to get started?
I would say the time is now. Well, actually, if you are thinking about middle school, high school age, I would say even getting someone or a student familiar with this topic in middle school is very, very important. But if you think that they're too young in middle school to understand this topic, high school, ninth grade, let's get them started. Because what I see, a very, very common problem is people will come to me in 12th grade, fall, spring sometimes, and they'll say, hey, I'm about to go to school. I'm ready for some scholarships. And I will say, I can help you out. But see, the technique now that we're going to have to play is we are going to have to get scholarships for you probably fall semester of your freshman year in college. Just the way that things work, they're scholarship seasons. And so it's not a quick process. It could take about 3 to 4 months to win a scholarship.
Wow. Okay. So basically, if they don't take the time out to get it taken care of at least the semester before, they're already going to be behind financially.
Exactly. So I tell everyone that strategy and preparation are key here. What I do with a lot of my consultees is I'll look at the calendar and say, okay, you're about to go into 12th grade. So the summer before or the semester before, we're looking at the scholarships that they're going to have coming up in their 12th grade year fall semester. I'm getting them prepared to be able to apply for those. Do you have the opportunity to get recommendation letters from your teachers, former employers? We're looking at the full package and making sure we're planning ahead of time.
Okay, man, that's phenomenal. So now I think I think you already kind of touched upon it, but so after they get these scholarships, grants, the free money, even though you already touched on it, and they finally get to college, how are they using it? How is it utilized? You touched a bit about it, but just go deeper into it for me.
I will, because actually I was in a situation where I got to school. I really didn't know about scholarships like that. And I was in a predicament where I needed money. I needed money or else I was going to get kicked out of school. So that's how I ended up learning about scholarships. It worked out well for me not having the full scholarship because, as I mentioned before, when you get a bunch of partial scholarships, they kind of come in at random times and they start to pile on. And I lived in the state of Maryland where the school wasn't going to take their money back. And so I started to get the refund checks from that. The difference between the partial scholarships and the full scholarships are typically with the full scholarship, it's on your account. You really can't get more partial money depending on the type of scholarship. If you have a full scholarship, more than likely, sometimes they'll say that you can't even get any more scholarship money just because of an ethical thing. So you have to really pay attention to it. But when you're in college, it's okay if you have student loan debt. It is not the end of the world. If you go in freshman year and you have some, it's just your strategy that needs to come into play here. And so what you'll do is freshman year, there's some scholarships out there, not always. I think it's because a lot of scholarship committees want to see that you stayed in school or maybe you picked your major and you're on that path. So that allows you to have some time to create a strategy on the scholarships that are applicable to you and when you're going to start applying for them. So maybe we tell everyone to have the debt, save, invest mindset, which is you might be in a little bit of debt, but when you win the scholarships and you get some of the refund money, You then take that and you put it towards the debt that you already had. And as you continue to win money, then you save from it and it gives you the opportunity to invest in the future.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So basically, using that money, even though you start off in a position where you may be a little bit behind, but you can actually maximize when you finally get those checks coming in. Ooh,
Yes, and
woo.
it depends on the student. I have one student right now. She applied for tons of scholarships. She's kind of tired of applying, but I said, you already have all of these applications that you already did. Because you'll get to the point where you've written so much, all you have to do is pick a piece here, pick a piece there. You already have the applications because you're saving them in a folder structure that we talk about. And so I tell her, hey, pick 3 a month. Let's just say $10,000 in scholarships a month. And you apply for those. You're just increasing your odds that by the time the next semester comes, you would have won several scholarships. And more than likely, because you already are low on as far as your balance, you don't have much of a balance, you would probably get a refund check. And so that's just things for students to consider, especially if you're burned out already.
Yes. Hey, but like you said, we're trying to grab this free money, so it's a little work, but it's free though.
It'll
All
pay
right,
off in
cool.
the long run.
So guys, we're gonna open it up for questions. Check this little question box. All right, cool. I see a recent one just dropped. Let me see. Hold on.
Talk about athletics if you haven't. Are athletic scholarships full guaranteed? So what do you mean by full guaranteed? Are you saying that they'll pay for your athletic scholarship in full? And I can't really see the name that it came from.
I think it's GTRS accountant.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can talk about the full scholarship. I'm not sure about the partial scholarship.
Okay, go ahead and talk about the
but
full side of it.
but my position with the full scholarship, like I said, I went to LSU, full scholarship, moved from Miami, Florida to there to go to school. And my experience was they basically take care of everything from books to housing, things like that. Now, you do have to remember that in what they call intercession, I'm pretty sure that didn't change. It's been a while since I've been in school, but in what's called intercession, there's a lot of things that aren't taken care of. So if you do have kids going to schools and they're staying in the intercession, make sure you find out what they need living expense wise, food wise, to make sure that they're taken care of. Because normally the scholarships can pay for the school, may be able to pay for the room, but may not take care of that extra meals that they may be there. So hopefully that helps with that. And then, yeah, you can cover the, if any partial scholarships, how that works for them getting additional ones and things like that.
So I will say my specialty is external scholarships. So scholarships that are just out there from like nonprofits, for-profit organizations. I'm not so much a specialist on the athletic scholarships, but from what I heard, I do have a counterpart who does athletic scholarships, that there are partial ones as well. I think it really depends on what the team is looking for and what they're willing to offer you.
That's true.
Oh, okay. We have a
Yeah,
follow-up right here. Are
yeah,
those
follow
athletic
up.
scholarships fully guaranteed each year, or are they on a year-to-year basis?
It
So
uh
if
it
you do that.
it all depends. Mine was guaranteed, outright. It all depends on how you get recruited into the specific school. So I've seen people who came in red shirt freshmen or just walk-ons, and that year wasn't paid for at all. But as they started playing, then they received a scholarship, then it was taken care of from there. And then I also seen the situation like me, it's fully taken care of as long as you're going to the school, but it just doesn't include special things like any mastering programs and things like that. So you may have to, when the child does actually go to school for that, you may have to look into grants and things like that. I'm not even sure. Are there grants for mastering program and like secondary once you get past that?
So from like a free money perspective, there's free money when you are in a master's program. It's just you have to be more strategic because you have 2 years versus the 4 years. So you have less time to prepare. And actually, when you're in that last and final year, sometimes it's harder to find scholarships. So you need to prepare. Still there?
Yes, I'm there.
Sorry. it got disconnected a little.
That's okay.
So you have to prepare ahead of time, and there is scholarship money out there, and a lot of times you'll see scholarships specifically for a master's program, for a certain major, or for a certain ethnicity. It's just a combination of things that you have to search on.
That's awesome.
Now I saw
Okay,
a
guys.
question that I missed. Oh, is there a website someone can go to after this live? Yes, it is freemoneymeister.com. If you are looking for a database that I recommend for searching for scholarships, and I'm typing the website right here into the chat box, is CAPEX. I hope I'm saying it correctly, CAPPEX. They have a database of scholarships. It's a free website. You go in, you fill out the profile. They ask a lot of questions. It's going to take you maybe like 30 minutes to fill it out. But go ahead. The more you fill out the information, the better your results are. And it's just a really good database. I used it myself when I was in school. And that's CAPPEX.
And you drop knowledge today. Make sure you guys follow Free Money Meister. Check out that website if you have kids. And if you're thinking about having kids, my thing is, you already know how I talk, guys. It's all about action, being preventative and doing the things early. You just heard it. If you're waiting for the child to get to senior year in college, senior year in high school, and you want to say, you know what, I think we need to find out how to pay for it. Come on now. You're already behind. This starts when they're in middle school.
Let's talk about something else really quickly, too, that people don't realize. So if you wait till the last minute, that responsibility doesn't always fall on your child, especially if maybe you don't have the money to support the child, then you might end up with a Parent Plus loan. And from what I've seen, it is much easier to try to get rid of student loan debt when the child has a student loan. If the parent has a Parent Plus loan, it is much harder. There are not that many competitions out here to reward parents with that money back from extending it for a Parent Plus loan. But there are, like I said, more student loan forgiveness competitions that you are starting to see come to the public. So it's something to think about too.
From any of your clients that you work with, have you ever ran into a situation where a parent is deep in debt for their child? Have you ever seen that before? Like, man, I got to get these loans out for the kids.
Yes, and I'm like, wow, you're lucky, first and foremost, because my parents were not doing that for me. I've seen that, and for example, like I said, I live in Maryland. The state of Maryland has a student loan debt relief tax credit, and so what that does is, now it depends on whose name the loan was in, right? But let's just say your child has the loan, but you, the parent, are helping to pay for it. You can get a tax credit for up to, I think it's $5,000. It depends on how much money they have in the pot that year, but they will refund that money to you, and you have to put it on your student loans and show proof that you applied it to your student loans. If not, they will tax you the next year. You'll have, I think, a penalty for not using it for the loans. But there are methods out there. For the parents who just have the Parent Plus loans, it is difficult. There are, like I said, competitions that you could do, but you have to be on it because there are not that many. There's other strategies that you're going to have to try to incorporate in there as well.
Man, awesome. So we got some more questions. Another question from Fade 2C Black. Can you renegotiate a lower interest rate when you're repaying a loan?
Okay, so let's talk about student loans for a second. There's different types of student loans. There's subsidized, unsubsidized. Subsidized student loans are the preferable ones because you will not get interest on those until after you're out of school. That's what I tell the students. When you're in school, let's say somebody gave you $100 with subsidized loan. If you pay them back before school is over, you just have to give them $100 back. With unsubsidized loans, which are accruing interest while you are in school, someone gives you $100, you got to give them like $600 back. It's accruing interest. So those loans typically, it depends on the interest rate at the time, right? So if you go to school in 2020 versus going in 2024, there'll be different interest rates on the loans. And those are federal loans, but there are also private loans. So when we talk about renegotiating a loan rate, there's two different types here. So let's talk about consolidation. Consolidation is the ability to take the different types of federal loans that you have out there. Like previously, the government's trying to change this. You could get a loan from one provider 1 year, and the next year get a loan from another federal provider because they have multiple. And so you can consolidate those and try to get the best interest rate there by getting an interest rate that is more preferable to the loan amount that you have through consolidation. Now you could refinance, but refinancing, as you'll see a lot of commercials saying like, hey, do you want to refinance your student loans? Those are private lenders. And what happens is when you refinance your federal loans to a private lender, you have to be careful because they don't have the same terms and conditions. So for example, what just happened with student loans, where they said, okay, you guys don't have to pay on interest, you don't have to pay your payments. That was for federal loans. It is up to the private lender if they will allow you to do the same thing. So while you may have a great refi rate, a lower rate, you may not get the same benefits as other people when trying to determine, like, hey, should I refi, should I not refi? So let me know if that was helpful for that question.
Man, and definitely if your loan is not federal, please continue to make your payments accordingly, please. Next one is from Extreme Bling 1. How does your child learn how to write good essays if they're not normally good at writing them?
Well, with us, part of our service is that we review all application packages. And so we review the essays and we help them craft a story, because one of the most important things when completing a scholarship essay is it's telling a good story. Because you have a committee that's reading tons of these essays. They want something that's memorable about you. And so we just work with the student on what they have. If it's grammatical issues, we can help improve that. We do track changes. If it's something like they don't know what to write about, just ask them questions about their things they've done in the past, their resume. So if they say, oh, what was the time that you had a challenge that you could think of that you were able to overcome the challenge? Just talk to your child and say, okay, well, remember you did track, and at first you didn't do too well, but then you got better and you started to increase your times, and just talk about that story. And that's something that you would write about. There's different essays, but you'll typically see essays around what was something that was a challenge for you, how did you grow and learn from something, or there will be essays around, this is the major that you're considering, what do you want to do with it, and how will it benefit the world? Those are some really 3 key essay topics you'll see out there.
Okay, awesome. I think the most memorable, please correct me if this is the wrong movie. I think the movie was 21, and the kid was, he was writing an essay for, I think he was writing it for college, and then he was going to like Las Vegas and stuff with a team of people, and he made that his story. So your stories don't have to be that wild, just make them interesting, okay?
And it has to work for you. It has to feel authentic. How do you find out more about that tax credit for your state? Okay, so different states have different tax credits. It's not like a full-blown federal thing when it comes to what the states are doing. But there are tax credits out there from a federal perspective. There's tax credits and tax deductions. Normally I have it written right in front of me, but let me get your name. Extreme Bling 1. I will send you a message. We used to have it on our page, but we actually archived that post, so I'll make sure to put it back out there. But there's tax credits and deductions if your child is currently in school that they could utilize. But as far as like a state tax credit, you have to check with the state to see what they offer. Maryland's good. Some of the northern states, like I think Massachusetts, it's really good. It just depends.
Okay, cool.
Especially if they're trying to attract like more of a population or a certain type of population, then you'll see that they'll offer some sort of tax credit, maybe related to housing or student loan related tax credit to give you some money back. So again, in Maryland, I love my state. They have a student loan forgiveness program. If you purchase a home in the state of Maryland, they will give you a certain percentage of that home purchase towards your student loans. But then there's conditions such as at that time, when you get that percentage back, you have to be completely paid for with your loans at that point. So that is when we do our strategy, that's one of the later strategies that we use, because we'll get the person down to a certain loan amount and then say, okay, well, we think it would be a good time to use this program.
Man, that's awesome. So basically, you're not just following the kids through high school and going through college, but you're following them later in life as well to make sure they utilize these grants, utilize these strategies correctly. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, we technically have two types of clients. We have the clients who are trying to get a scholarship from a consultation perspective, because, we have workshops that's different, but consultations, we have consultations for high school students and college students seeking scholarships. Maybe they don't want to look for it. Maybe they're looking for a strategy. They come to us, we talk about a strategy, we prepare it with them, and then we continue to support them. And then we have people who have come out of school with student loan debt and they're not quite sure of what they should do with the student loan debt, the best way to pay for it. And recently we had a client ask us about a HELOC. And I will not say that I'm a CPA, but we do have a CPA on the team who's actually also one of our instructors. So she was like, hey, let's come up with a strategy. So what we ended up doing was providing the client with a spreadsheet to show him, hey, if you want to get these external loans to help pay off your student loans, this is what you have to do, and this is when you have to do it. He ended up writing us a great review saying that he paid it off quicker than the Dave Ramsey something. And I was like, hey, I'm going to have to put that on my page because I got a lot of debt collection people. Everybody who has the debt in the budget and the free in their name, they follow Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different strategies we do just to help.
Okay, cool. So I have the next question. Do private lenders have regulations similar to how Congress decided on interest rates on government loans?
Do private lenders have regulations similar to how the government decided for the interest rate on these student loans? Okay, so I'm trying to understand the question. Are you talking about the rate in which the loan could be, like the range? Could you clarify for me?
As they answer, we may have to come back to that one. But we got a few more questions for you.
Yes. How important is it for a child to go to community college or technical if they haven't decided on a major? I'm biased in this regard. This is not everybody's opinion. I think that a child should go to a four-year school to get that four-year experience. If it's strictly about money, that's where these scholarships early on come into play. Don't make them go to community college just from a financial perspective. I know a lot of people suggest it because it is cheaper and it allows you to decide where you want to go. It's an option. But I think the four-year option is just that college experience that everyone talks about. And so let me make sure I answer your question. How important is it for them to go to a community college or technical school? It depends on your state too, because if you're in high school, some programs allow you to attend these sort of classes while you're in high school. Maybe you can go out of school for like half the day and take a community college class. I think it's important to allow them exposure to the major they're considering in high school, but given the opportunity, if they want to go to a university, let them decide that and then try to get scholarships to support it. If it's a huge financial burden, then community college is a good option. They'll do their 2 years and then they can go to a 4-year. But that's just my perspective. What's your perspective on that?
Come on. Well, mine's kind of skewed, with the LSU. So I want them. I want them to have that experience of that 4-year college because living in Miami and actually getting outside the box somewhere completely new, it definitely changed my outlook on, my situation at home, my personal outlook on life, dealing with other people that didn't look like me. So there was so many different avenues regarding it. And but like you said, if they're able to take care of it, majority with these the free money, then definitely try to push for it. But it also sounds like you have to have this conversation with your child in like middle school, because going into high school, you want to put them into a high school that may have those. I think down here we call it dual enrollment type deals. You want to make sure that so they can actually maximize, so they can get some credits while you're down here. So this is, man, a lot of preparing, but I love that you have to think ahead.
Even if they don't have those programs in the high school, there's other things, summer camps. There are universities that have summer camps for high school students as well. There's different ways where they can get exposure to the major. So don't feel like you have to do everything in middle school. You can still prep in high school early on.
High school, okay.
But there are a lot of scholarships for community college. I will not deny that there are programs out there that make it more feasible to go to a 2-year school. We're just saying consider the experience, because college 4 years is short enough for most people anyway. The 4 years just fly by.
It's true. Let's see. TRJ accounting tax, but I'm a 4-year guy myself, but some have some different opinions. Of course. I can feel your 4-year energy. I can feel it. Three King Visions, welcome in. Are there more scholarship opportunities for students living in Florida to attend a HBCU? Hashtag HBCU alumni.
Okay, I won't speak so much to Florida just because to talk about a state, it would be kind of complicated. It's different factors in selecting scholarships. You normally do like a combination of state, major, gender, right? But I will talk about HBCUs. There are a lot of scholarships that are for HBCUs. You'll see some of the more known ones that are out there. I'm trying to think of the name that should easily come to my mind. Help me out. I know you know of it.
What, the different schools?
No, they're really known scholarships out there for HBCU. You can actually just literally type in Google HBCU scholarships, and what you'll see are there's so many foundations. They are really known Black foundations that support these HBCU scholarships. And so it's a good vector, right? Like a lot of people have to type in keywords in Google to try to find the scholarship they're looking for. But HBCU is such a good keyword that you'll be able to find scholarships specific to the fact that you're just going to the school. And then you'll also, yes, UNCF. Thank you.
UNCF, I just found it. Mm-hmm.
I was drawing a blank. I'm like, I know the name. It's late over here, guys. And there's some more too. Thurgood Marshall has some. So it's just a lot of different ones that are out there that are known.
Okay, awesome. So, guys, I think she touched on many things. Any more questions, guys, for her?
And then we got to select the winner. So we got to do that before too many people drop.
We got to. Okay. I think that's the last of the questions. Let me make sure I don't have any of these questions box. Nope. Oh, cool. All right, guys, so we're going to select this winner. Now, I have to do it on a different computer, so I'm going to look to the right.
Okay, good. You're going to do it. Great.
Yes. Hey, you taught me something with the wheel, so I'm definitely going to utilize that.
Yes, I'm excited to use that wheel. I feel like I'm in a game show.
I wish I had the music prepared for you guys, but the winner is Carla_Key_. Carla, if you're in here, you're one. If you're not in here, we're definitely gonna message you so you can receive your free workshop to work with Free Money Meister. Man, it was phenomenal talking to you, Free Money Meister, and I'm excited for our partnership for a week to help so many kids out. Man, I talked to so many people about debt after it's done. To be able to utilize it and get to them before they have to deal with this, life-changing.
It's so life-changing. And the thing is, when it comes to a topic like this, it's a lot of work to do because so many people don't understand the implications. We're trying to teach them to understand it, right? But we have to get them to at least understand to a certain degree beforehand so we can say, hey, this is beneficial to you. And so I'm glad that everyone who was able to join tonight was able to hear this information. Continue to spread the word. Let people know how important it is because, like I said, it's the second debt crisis in America, student loan debt. And it's sad. You're just trying to get an education. You shouldn't have your entire future shifted because you decide to get educated. Those two things don't go together for me.
All right, guys. Phenomenal. Man, it was, once again, great for your time. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Make sure you continuously follow the pages, both of our pages, so you continue staying up to date when it comes to ways for your kids to stay out of debt. Man, that's it. I love you guys. Till next time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.